Hey everyone. For those of you who are new here, I'm Josh, and in this video I want to discuss how to handle family drama. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you may have a misconception that my family is perfect because I don't really talk about my family, and well, there's a good reason for that because there is some family drama in my family and it's not exactly great stuff. It's something that I've actually wanted to talk about for quite some time, but I didn't really know how to approach it, and I also didn't want to, worsen things with some of my family members because, if I title a video family drama, I know for sure my family members will watch it because why wouldn't they, right? They know about the drama, so they're probably going to see this, and I didn't want to make a video to incriminate anyone or put anyone on blast or anything like that. I more so want to discuss this because I know there are other people out there who deal with family drama as well. In fact, I've had some of you reach out to me and ask me how to handle this. And well, over time, I've had enough people reach out that I realized it was probably useful for me to just make a video on this entirely. So that's what I want to do here. I want to share some tips that will hopefully help you navigate having family drama because it's not the easiest thing. And we all know that many societies out there, especially collectivistic societies, tend to place a lot of importance on family. So if some of your family members are a bit difficult to be around, or if there's drama between you, it can suck knowing that because you have all these people saying your family is the most important thing, you should be spending a lot of time with them, you should be close to them, and yada, yada, yada. But sometimes that isn't the best route because maybe you have toxic family members. We don't exactly choose our family members, right? So you can luck out with someone who's not all that great to be around. And in those cases, I would say, if none of the tips that I share in this video help, your best bet probably is to just create distance between you and that toxic person. But rather often, we can have drama with family members who aren't even toxic. And sometimes we can even be a bit toxic ourselves. And if we don't have enough self-awareness, we won't even realize that. But anyway, let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this video, the tips that I would like to share with you. The first thing I want to clarify here, if you are on the outside of the family drama, meaning you're not one of the main participants of it, it's not you and another family member who has beef with each other, but maybe you have two family members who are beefing with each other and you're on the outside of it or something like that, know that you may not actually want to step in and intervene and try to fix things because speaking from my own experience, sometimes good intentions can actually make things worse. And I unfortunately kind of did that myself when I was trying to solve the situation with my family members because I underestimated how people would react to the info, the advice I was kind of sharing them, the tips I was giving them. I thought that these tips, when put into action, would work out a certain way, but I didn't account for the other party reacting in the way that they would, and it actually made things worse. So knowing that, just as much as you may want to intervene and be the fixer and bring everyone together, know that sometimes you shouldn't try that because you don't know whether or not it'll actually work and you don't really want to risk making things worse. Sometimes space is all that people need, space and time, should I really say, and maybe over time people will start to realize the importance of family and that the little drama that they have isn't really worth it and they'll choose to be the bigger person and come back together, but you can't really force that. You can't make people do the things that will actually lead to them healing the drama that they have. So if you don't know for sure that the advice or the tips you want to share with your family members will help curb the beef that they have, I would say you probably don't want to get involved. And instead, just realize that you can't change your family members. You can't, right? If they don't want to change, they're not going to change. And believe me, I know that really well because the family members that I have who have this drama, let's just say there are very few people who actually want to change. And it's unfortunate because if you have one person who wants to change, but the other party doesn't, you can't do anything about it. Even if you have everyone in the entire group wants to change, but one person doesn't, well, that's more than enough to keep the drama going because that person is going to refuse to do the inner work that's needed to heal everyone, to get rid of the drama that exists between your family members. So you have to just accept your family members as they are because you're not going to be able to change them. And you can love people from afar. You can love them even knowing that they're imperfect and that they aren't quite what they could be, You can love them even knowing that you can help them become a great human being and they just have no desire to do that. It's all okay, right? You can love someone and never choose to include them in your life because you don't believe that doing so would actually be a benefit for you or maybe even them as well. You can do all those things. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just a healthy way to deal with a family member who may not want to change. Now, if you are involved in the family drama, if you're an active participant and it's not just your other family members who are beefing, well, now you want to strive to be the bigger person, because you can actually play a huge role if you're part of the issue, right? You can choose to rise above the drama. You can choose to be the bigger person and realize that, hey, you still love this person, right? They're a family member of yours, or I hope you still love them, and hopefully they're not toxic. And if they aren't toxic, well, then you can certainly keep them around. You can solve whatever is causing the issues between you. So choose to be that person. Choose to set your ego aside and choose to be honest and have a constructive conversation with them to try to fix things. I mean, this is something that really boggles my mind, but honesty solves almost all communication issues out there, and yet so often people don't want to go down this route because, yeah, it is difficult, right? It's tough to have those conversations. Sometimes it can even lead to you crying with the other person because you acknowledge all the pain that you and they have caused each other, right? So those conversations, they're not easy, but they solve the problem. They solve the stupid drama that exists between you and your family member that you hopefully love. So be willing to have those conversations. Be willing to show your feelings to the other person, to let them know how they've been hurting you, or maybe even how you've been hurting them and how you don't wish to do that and how you feel bad for doing it. Be the bigger person. If your family member is not toxic, it is usually worth it to solve whatever drama is there between you so that you can come together. Now, if your family member is toxic, this honesty advice kind of goes out the window because it likely won't really work. Someone who's toxic may not be willing to have that kind of conversation at all. And if your family member is toxic because of mental illness, which that is also pretty common, again, honesty probably won't solve it because there's something a bit different in their brain wiring that's going to make it tricky for you to have those heart-to-heart conversations with them. I mean, think about if your family member maybe is bipolar or they have borderline personality disorder, maybe they're a narcissist. Honesty is not going to solve that, right? Usually there is medication out there that psychiatrists can prescribe to hopefully help them. But again, they have to go to psychiatrists to get the medication and they have to take the medication. And if someone has a mental illness in your family, they may not be willing to do any of that. So in those cases, I would say your best bet is probably just to put distance between you and them, to put space between you. Because if they're truly toxic, especially due to mental illness, there really isn't anything you can do, right? You can't change them. You can't fix them. You can't have a heart-to-heart with someone who isn't willing to listen to you and acknowledge how they've been hurting you and change their ways. You can't do anything in those situations. So if they truly are toxic, and I mean like legitimately toxic, because let's be honest, people throw around that term way too freaking much nowadays, and very few people actually are toxic in that way. Some people, they're just dealing with selfishness issues, or just dealing with pride issues and other things like that, but they're not actually toxic. And if you were to have an honest conversation with them, you could probably work things out with them. But if they really are toxic, your only bet truly is to put space between you and them, because you're probably not going to be able to solve anything with them, and they're not going to be willing to change anything about themselves. So it's all you can do. But usually with non-toxic family members, honesty will solve the issue. It really will. Like I said earlier, it boggles my mind how people don't acknowledge the power of honesty and how so few people are willing to employ it, because my God, it really does work. I mean, even recently, I've been at my parents' for Christmas for a while now, a few weeks, and maybe like a week or so into me staying here, we unfortunately had a pretty big argument, and I got very frustrated because my parents are probably some of the only people, well, my family members in general are probably some of the only people in my life who can actually trigger me because they know me really well. And, you know, I grew up with them, so we have all these things between us, all this psychological little nuance that makes it so that it's difficult for me at times to control my emotions around them. But I've told them this. I'm honest about it. I tell them, hey, look, I don't mean to, but you guys are pretty good at triggering me, and it's not something I want to do, and usually I'm pretty good at controlling that, but with them it is a bit different. So after we had this argument, I told them, hey, look, I need some space. I need to calm down. I'm really flustered right now. And I went into another room for like 20 or so minutes and just allowed myself to calm down. I basically meditated, focused on my breathing. And after I'd come to a place where I was able to release those emotions, I then went back into the room and I apologized to my parents and said, hey, look, I don't mean to treat you guys this way. I really care about you guys. And it was painful what you said that triggered me. And then it immediately made me say things I didn't mean. And I don't want to hurt you guys because I really care about you. You're my parents, right? So I had a heart-to-heart conversation with them. I was really honest with them. I was basically telling them how I've been really stressed out lately because of certain aspects of my life, and it's making it a bit more difficult for me to control my emotions because I have less patience and my resolve is wearing thin. And yeah, so I was being really honest with them and just explaining why I acted the way I acted. And then they apologized to me as well, and we all were able to understand each other a bit better, and it made that disagreement that we have kind of go out the window for the most part because we were able to solve it. We were able to be honest with each other. That's how you solve family drama. That's how you solve issues with the people you care about. You have to be honest with them. You have to have heart-to-heart conversations with them. You need to do those difficult things and be real and be vulnerable. That's really all it takes for solving things with non-toxic family members. I have to stress that a ton because it only works with them. But hey, that's going to be most people out there because, as I said, there are actually very few legitimately toxic people out there. Most people just have a few slight issues that could be solved if they worked on themselves a bit more, like that selfishness, pride issues, ego issues, but they're not actually legitimately toxic. And if you have those honest conversations with them, you can move forward and you can let go of a lot of that drama, that beef that may exist between the two of you. So yeah, really try employing honesty, see if that works. If it doesn't, and if your family member truly is toxic, well, you know what to do. You can just create that space between you and them, and it sucks, but sometimes that's really the only thing we can do. And it's super unfortunate that it can happen with family members, but again, you didn't choose your family members, right? So it's okay. It's not anything that reflects poorly on you, and you will have to get good at not caring so much what other people say if they find out about your family situation, because there will be those people out there who think that if you're not close to your family, then that means there's something wrong with you. But no, sometimes we're just born into family members that aren't exactly great. Maybe they're legitimately toxic, or even if they're not, maybe they're super selfish and that sort of thing. So you don't want to be around them because they're not supportive, and maybe they don't really add a whole lot of positive benefit to your life. That's okay. So just don't care so much what other people think of you for that. Make sure when you're dating that you're honest about your family situation, because you want the other person to know that you're not a bad person just because you're not close to your family. It is what it is. It happens from time to time. But anyway, that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to cover in this video. So I truly hope that these tips have been helpful. If there's anything I missed here or any other useful tips that you know of, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below so that you can help other people who stumble upon this video. And maybe if you're comfortable with it, you can even share your own stories down below because it can help other people out there. We often don't realize just how many people out there have dealt with similar things to us, or how many other people are going through the same problems that we've been going through. I mean, as I said earlier in this video, I imagine very few of my long-term followers actually thought that there was family drama in my family, but there is. We're not perfect, and it exists, so it is a thing, and it sucks, and I'm usually pretty private about it for good reason. I don't want to air all of my family's dirty laundry on my platform. That's not why it's here, but I did figure I could help people who have been through something similar or are going through something similar because, hey, I've got experience with family drama, and I know some things that work and some things that don't work. So just wanted to help people, and I truly do hope that this video has been helpful for you. But that's all I have. I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci.